How do you do, one and all? How are you doing on this fine evening as we're getting ready for another half hour of thrilling racing from the NORL FIA GT3 series this evening on this lovely Wednesday? See, we're currently in qualifying. We are just getting our lovely stuff set up, which is now all set up and ready to go. And we are going to be getting ready for what looks like a very wet half an hour here. You might not be able to tell what track it is, but I can assure you that the track is Hockenheim, the Hockenheim rim in Germany. You may not be able to tell that because of how wet, foggy it is, and it is very hard to see absolutely anything at this point in the track. So the drivers are going to have a very tricky 7 minutes 42 seconds left. And it's going to be almost impossible to see. We'll ride on board with last week's winner, and we'll see. This is what the driver can see, even more so if we go in the cockpit. You can just see, this is how little these guys can see in this rain and fog combo that's been thrown at them from the random weather system that NORL adopts. This is what's been thrown at them, and it's going to be so difficult to tell where they are on track. And it's going to be even harder for us to see any action at all as the Bentley just comes into shot and then disappears into a cloud of fog again. So you can just get an idea of how effective these guys need to be and how crazy it is going to be for these guys throughout qualifying, not just qualifying, but in the race as well. Of course, they've got to be dealing with the spray from the other cars too. They want to survive, and it's going to be a lot easier said than done, let me assure you of that. So we're just trying to find a way on the Twitter to promote that the stream is up. Round number 3 is this? This is round number 4 as the Bentley of Galactic Skull 2 goes wide. No brakes at the moment at this stage in the qualifying session, and it's very hard to see where you're going. No one has set a qualifying time yet. We're just setting up stream announcement, which has gone up now, and we are ready to commentate. So the first laps have come in from favourite Murcielago. Favourite to get a decent result, you definitely hope. He's just had no chance at all so far this season. He's really struggled, especially in that battle at Barcelona a few races ago. He just had an absolute nightmare and really threw away a good chance of a victory. Kedshi, improving all the time, is just under a tenth away from Murcielago. Then the big gap starts to form towards Chaza. Mark down in P4 ahead of Beamer Black, who's in a Lamborghini this time. Interesting choice. Galactic Skull 2 staying faithful to the Bentley. JFD in P7 and Anel in P8. These guys all yet, of course, to set a valid time. And it's almost impossible to commentate in the trackside view, so it looks like we're going to have to stick mainly with the T-cam for now, as not a very impressive lap time for Nemesis in these conditions. So the freaking Joker's coming around the last sector, coming into the first sector actually. It's so hard to tell where we are on the circuit. Cohen Clout, is that how you say your name? I'm really sorry to have butchered that, but welcome along. He's here cheering along Mark on this Wednesday evening, as we see the freaking Joker pushing along, trying his utmost to set a valid lap time. Very tough though. Down through the gears, aiming for that inside curve, and just long shots it and goes completely off, and will effectively ruin whatever lap you're going. It's the similar story for Anel Tanovic, just skating around in what I assume is a Lamborghini Huracan, which it is, Bertamina car. Really struggling for any form of grip at this stage in the qualifying session. We come into the final sector this time, and you can see almost identical to what happened to Galactic Skull 2. He just goes straight on, and really struggling to get slowed down. Looks like there's a puddle forming just before that corner, and the guys are really struggling to navigate it. So Anel Tanovic still struggling for grip, we can just see. And now there's a car appearing out of the fog, getting ready for his next blast lap. Hopefully he does not interfere with Anel Tanovic's as he comes around the corner He's 23 seconds slower than Murcielago at this stage. Took a podium, or at least nearly took a podium in the next race. It doesn't improve, that shows how tricky it is out there. Kevin Jacobs coming up to the line. Is he going to improve? No, the time was not valid. I can't really tell what car he's in. He's in the GTR. A great choice for Kevin Jacobs. It's such an awesome sounding car. As you can hear for yourself, it sounds absolutely gorgeous. But it's red C lap 2 this far down the order, so hopefully he can get time in. But the drivers can't see anything. You can't see past your nose in this weather. Coming into the hairpin with JFD, and you can just see that Kevin Jacobs in the bottom right has had multiple invalid laps. Just look at that. You can't get anywhere near the throttle. It's absolutely bizarre and almost undrivable. Red flag almost conditions here in qualifying. Hopefully the race clears up a bit, or there's going to be a lot of accidents, I fear. Murcielago's still going around. Does he improve on his lap time? No, he does not. That gives Kedji an opportunity to improve and take provisional pole. It comes out the final corner. A decent run out of the final corner. Will he improve and take provisional pole? No, he will not. But it looks like conditions are only getting worse at this stage. Who's our next to come up to the line? I think it will be Beamer Black, who's struggling in what I believe is another Lamborghini. Yep. Comes up to the final corners. Penultimate now. Want to get a good run through here. And especially with the rain, you want to be careful not to get too excited on the throttle. Don't drift out too wide either. Now, where's this lap time going to put Beamer Black? Is it going to be an improvement? And the trend continues. No improvement for Beamer Black. Mark is going definitely not as fast as a Shark. He will not be improving on this lap. There was a slight improvement of about half a second for Chazza, as we have a Lamborghini, Ivan Eltanovic, I believe that was, facing the wrong way. Sorry, no, it was Beamer Black. My apologies to Ivan Eltanovic. Kevin Jacobs coming up to the line to set his first time, if it is indeed not invalid. And he goes P10, dropping the freaking Joker into the final spot on the grid. Just trying to find where everybody is. The weather is bizarre right now. Sector 2 is coming to the end of Sector 2. Sector 1 for everyone else, though. Oh, there goes Kevin Jacobs right in front of us. Oh, a scare for Mark the Shark. That would have been terrifying for Mark, I'm sure, just to see GTR drifting towards you. And it's so close at the front. But it looks like Murcielago's going to take provisional pole at this stage. Nemesis has crept up into P4 on his latest flying lap attempt. Mark out on a lap as well. Galactical 2 is in the final sector. Is anyone closer to the line than him? No. So we'll stay on board with the Bentley coming around the final sector. Rudy S. Benz, not a lot of traction whatsoever. Coming up to the final, penultimate corner. Now the final corner. And he's going to want to see if he can improve on 3.7 seconds off Murcielago's pace. The man he beat for the victory in Catalonia. Where does this put the Bentley? No improvement. No, there was a improvement. A delayed improvement of 7/10 of a second for Galactic Skull 2. Sees him in P6, but that's all. Anel Tanovic in the final sector. 4.3 seconds off the pace. Can he find any extra time in that Lamborghini? Rudy S. bends up to the penultimate corner. Hits that big sausage curve on the inside. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. Aiming for the penultimate now. Lines up the final corner. Going to want to smoothly apply that as aggressively as he dare. We'll go through to the line. Will this be an improvement for Anel Tanovic? No improvement for the Lamborghini driver. I believe Kevin Jacobs, Mark the Shark, goes P5. Lap time gets invalid though. No improvement for him. Jazz has finished his lap, so the last man to complete a lap will be this man, Kevin Jacobs. We'll see if the trackside cameras, oh, it's all gone wrong. Makes a mistake. Oh, struggling to keep it on the road, and that is the end of qualifying. So Murcielago takes a very close pole position from Kedshi by just under a tenth of a second. We can see that that time was all gained in the first sector for Murcielago as we get ready to go racing, and it does look like it's cleared up a little. It's still foggy, but no rain. So that's something for these drivers. They've had a little bit of good fortune. So we get ready for 30 thrilling moments of the FIA GT3 series here at Hockenheim. Murcielago leads from pole position from Kedshi from a rolling start. Rain has cleared up, meaning it will be a switch to fresh, dry compound tyres for all of these drivers. And after a very rainy qualifying, these guys will have to fight through the fog, but it's better than the fog and the rain to get ready to go racing. The clock is already ticking, so these guys are going to have a little under half an hour to get going. Very nice looking cars. I have to say, the GTR of Kevin Jacobs is an absolute stunner, as the Nissans always are. The number one of the reigning IndyCar champion will start in P4. So here we get going then. It looks like the system has given an early advantage to Kedshi. So we come around the final corner now to go racing at Hockenheim. Kedshi will have the inside line going into turn one, and we can barely see anything. But lights out and away we go. We can just see a thunderous storm of headlights coming into turn one, but not much else. Into turn one they come. Kedshi on the inside. Murcielago holds it around the outside. And we continue. Nemesis Racing takes away P3 from Chazza. Galactic Skull 2 is there to pick up P4 as well. Chazza's dropped positions, so pretty much everybody has gone wide at turn one, and still just a flurry of headlights as the fog has got even worse than it was in the staging area. And now we can see the Renault of Mark the Shark battling away with Kevin Jacobs as we will ride on the roof cam, because that's the only camera we can see anything. Kevin Jacobs losing a bit of speed to the Renault, which you can now see on the left-hand side. Going to squeeze his way past, but Kevin has the inside line. He can hold this if he's better on the brakes. Now, a lot later on the brakes. Is that an attempt at an undercut from Mark the Shark? How deep does Kevin go? No, Kevin actually nails it. It's a great job by the GTR. Meanwhile, there's a little three-car battle going on between Anil Tanovic, Chazza and Galactic Skull, going all ahead to Bentley. Looking a little bit slow through that corner. Will Chazza take the opportunity? No, he will not. Chazza actually slows right down, and now Anil Tanovic is alongside, takes away the position from Chazza up to P5 for Anil Tanovic. Murcielago confidently leads away from Kedshi in Nemesis Racing in P3, Galactic Skull P4, Anil Tanovic P5, Chazza P6. Mark the Shark 7, followed closely by Kevin Jacobs. Oh, we've had a huge accident in front. We've got cars going through the air. That was the Bentley of Galactic Skull 2 getting involved with an accident with Anil Tanovic. They're both trying to get going, but massive damage on the Bentley. And on the Beamer Black's lost his rear wing somewhere along this lap as well. These guys are certainly going to have to pit for damage, especially with no rear wing in these treacherous conditions. I'm not sure what happened there. Huge accident still unfolding as Kevin Jacobs is off in the gravel. And a freaking joker finds himself passing Chazza down the front straightaway to go up into P5. Goes straight on at turn one though. That's going to be a warning, if not a penalty, issued by the stewards. Looks like he's got away with that. He uses one of his get out of jail free cards. Galactic Skull 2 goes wide, and Kevin Jacobs spins out at turn one. JFD just manages to avoid a huge accident. We can see Beamer Black and Anil Tanovic roll in, making it a miserable day for Lamborghini. The Chazza is trying to close in on the man that is the freaking joker in the McLaren up ahead. Honestly, I'd love to use trackside mod, but look at the fog. Chazza trying to poke, find any kind of weakness. We can see Kedshi's making gains on the race leader on this lap, under 0.8 of a second the gap is now. That's the lowest it's been since the lights out, of course. Through the final sector, Kedshi comes, lining up the final sector. Oh, very close to the wall from the Mercedes. Mercedes looking more confident than the BMW through this stage of the lap. He's gained a further 0.3 since we noticed this battle was beginning. He does go wide there though, and he does lose about 0.4 of a second to bring the gap over a second again in Murcielago's favour. So it just shows you how such a small mistake can yield such a big advantage, but he gains again immediately. Kedshi, it's only a matter of time with this much pace. Kedshi gets a superior run out of the final corner alongside, and he's going to be past Murcielago into turn one. He's going to try hold it on the outside. Not been doing for the BMW, and the BMW just does not have the pace right now. And he was so much slower out of the final corner than Kedshi. And it looks like it has all gone wrong for the BMW. It's all gone wrong for the Audi, and now it has all gone wrong for the Renault as well. Big accident Freaking Joker parts the Red Sea of a spinning Audi and a spinning Renault and takes himself up into the podium from last place. And now the two damaged cars of the Renault and the Audis are going in to turn number 2, heavy on the brakes. Mark the Shark goes a little bit wide. That's going to allow the Audi to get alongside, but Mark squeezes him to the absolute limit and shoves into the inside. But now Nemesis gets the better run, and he's going to be in the slipstream all the way until the hairpin, and you would expect a move is coming here from the Audi R8. Looking to the inside. Mark's making his intentions known. He's trying to hold the inside line for all he dares. Does the Audi dare outbrake the Renault? No, he does not. We'll tuck back in, but I think they're both going to go pretty deep here. And Nemesis spins it, trying to hold on to it. Mark will get away. Nemesis into the wall. All gone wrong in a matter of seconds there for Nemesis Racing. The Bentley has decided to pit for repairs, as has the GTR of Kevin Jacobs, meaning the only battle we effectively have left on track is the BMW and the Mercedes of Ketchi versus Murcielago. Murcielago was stronger for this section of the lap, but then it all went in Ketchi's favour from this corner onwards. So we'll see just how close this is going to be for Murcielago. He's right up alongside him into the penultimate corner, coming into the final corner. He's got him set up if he can just get the better run, but he can't. Look, the BMW twitches, and just like he lost time to Ketchi on the last lap, he loses it again in his pursuit. The BMW is just not confident in that final corner and really seems to struggle. Meanwhile, all racing has been effectively neutralised. Beamer Black went very deep there on the circuit due to the fog and the gaps. And the only real battle we have, once again, just like Catalonia, is right at the very front. About a second gap as we ride on board with the BMW. We could just see a very visual metaphor of how much traction Ketchi has compared to Murcielago. So when we come out of a corner, we've gained a ton of time. You'll probably see it again in this hairpin, and it looks like he struggles to get the brakes on, and you can see Ketchi just pulls away. Now watch the gap on the left. It just inflates and inflates and inflates, and you can just see that's how much more traction and confidence Ketchi has. A very confident Mercedes here at the Hockenheim ring. Looks like he's going to beat his German rival in the form of BMW. They have another battle of Beamer Black and Galactic Skull 2, looking like we're about to get underway with. Bentley versus Lamborghini coming into turn 1. Last week's winner, Galactic Skull 2, under pressure from Beamer Black. Gets caught on the outside of the curve. Beamer Black's allowed to pull up alongside, and he's just going to go through on the inside. But the Bentley's going to be so much later on the brakes and try to do something around the outside, but just goes deep in doing that. And now Galactic Skull looking for a way past, but Beamer Black got the job done for now. And away he will go into the fog. Colin Clout and Niblo discussing the weather conditions in the chat. That's very true. The weather's playing an awful part in this. These guys can barely see in front of them, which means judging braking distance is very tricky. Galactic Skull 2 looks like he's more confident on the brakes than the Lamborghini though, and looks like he's closing in on the second Lamborghini of Anel Tanovic, who he had that massive accident with in turn number 1. Casting him on back, not turn number 1, sorry, lap number 1 in the final sector, of course. So Beamer Black is definitely catching Anel Tanovic. Galactic Skull 2 falling away a little bit. Beamer Black in the same car of Anel Tanovic. This is as equal as it can get. No setups, of course. Just mano-y-mano in the same Italian bull in this case. And Anel goes a little bit deep. That's going to allow Beamer Black to have an opportunity. Looking for it, and there's another huge accident, and Anel gets tipped on 2 wheels. But luckily gets away with it. Anel just lost it all by himself. That's a very good point. Chazza has retired from the race. JFD off the pit for his mandatory pit stop, of course. You guys all have to serve a mandatory at least one stop. JFD will now serve his. Freaking Joker has found himself a shark. Or is that the other way? It was Mark? Not. The Freaking Joker was ahead of Mark, I believe. Mark has caught and passed the Freaking Joker then somewhere during that chaos. McLaren trying to find a way by the Renault. Still pretty close. Of course, good effort from the Freaking Joker. He seems to do it very well coming from the back of the grid to put himself up on the front. But the Freaking Joker is closer to Mark the Shark than he has been, and Mark the Shark's going to go straight on into the gravel, very much like Sebastian Vettel did in the 2018 German Grand Prix, and he's going to lose that position to the McLaren just by not being able to stop in time. Luckily not in the wall like the German did in the real-life Grand Prix, but nevertheless a position and a podium loss to the freaking Joker. Meanwhile, Galactic Skull 2 now finds himself chasing down Enel Tanovic after being a black found, collided with and dealt with. Pushing hard is Galactic Skull 2, trying to close in on Enel Tanovic. Enel really struggling with car control this season. Can't seem to get to grips in the fashion that he can on the F1 game. But Enel does nail the final sector, and the Bentley's the one that makes the mistake this time. Just loses the rear end a little bit, and that's enough to stop the Bentley's pursuit for this lap. Akechi still leads quite confidently in this race. I'm just flicking through to see if there's any other gaps, but that Murcielago gap is pretty much the closest we've seen other than Galactic Skull 2 and Enel Tanovic, but we just saw how that unfolded. You can just give an idea of how foggy it is for these guys. Murcielago really driving frustrated. In some sectors he's just so much faster than Kechi, but overall I think he's quite slow, and the rain seems to be a saving grace for him, because Kechi looks more confident than I think I've seen anyone this season in this Mercedes. Mercedes seems very happy as he pulls out a whole entire second from Murcielago in the final sectors. We have a spinning car, that's JFD, who's gone for a little spin down in 9th place, gets back on there, power, and gets under his way again. Speaking of spins, that's Enel Tanovic, Tokyo drifting it up ahead into the hairpin. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. The Galactic Skull gets away with it. Very much Tokyo drift through the hairpin though. It looks like Nemesis going slowly as well. Now, did Nemesis just recover from a spin, I wonder? Because he was going very slow throughout the final sector. Gaps have been pretty much neutralised once again. The closest gap is still Murcielago to Kechi and Galactic Skull 2 to Enel Tanovic. Murcielago looked like he gained a bit through turn 1, and then he's lost a lot of time coming out of what I assume is the hairpin. Going down into the stadium section, the first part, of course, sector 2. It's very hard to call, but I think Kechi's got this pretty much locked down. We reached 18 minutes ago, the 12-minute mark into this race. Kechi's got this under lock and key as it stands, unless he makes any mistake and that Murcielago can compromise on, because Kechi is just the faster driver at the moment, and you can see why, because in these slow hairpin type corners as we ride on board with the yellow BMW, you can just see it twitches so much under braking, and you'll likely see in the final corner here too. He's constantly wrestling the steering wheel. He got a decent run that time, but it was still slower than Kechi's in the Mercedes, so you can just see how tricky it is at the moment for Murcielago as he goes off the track. Big twitch through turn 1, goes off the circuit. Luckily these guys aren't getting penalised for this. Could have had a bit amount of penalties so far this race, as has been the track extending through turn 1. Looks like Galactic Skull 2 has made a big mistake and has lost a lot of time and effectively ended that battle with Enel Tanovic. Very much Kechi dominating at this stage of the German Hockenheim round. Probably been the least action-packed race so far this season, so if you have stuck with us throughout and you were still eagerly watching, hopefully we have something at the end of the race to reward you with, but right now, very much a Mercedes day, just like real Formula 1 lately. But in the GT Championship, it's a lot closer than we're seeing in this race. And yeah, when the smallest gap we have is 2.8 seconds, it's not bad. There's still room for error for Kechi, but Kechi's just drove like a man possessed today. So much more pace than everyone else and so much more consistency. Almost looks too easy. Ducati, the man who's shown signs of brilliance this season, but nothing's ever really come to fruition for him. So this could be the first time Ducati takes a victory, and I believe in the NORL as a whole, as well as this season. So I'm sure he's gunning for that. Murcielago's still searching for that elusive win this season. Seems to get away from him every time he thinks it's near. Gledskill falls over 10 seconds behind Aneltanovic. JFD, though, quite a way back from him. Nobody is close to each other at the moment other than these two at the front. And even these two aren't that close. So the fog definitely making drivers be a bit more careful than they have been. And BMW doesn't sound too healthy. Not sure if that's actually the engine note in this game or what, but the BMW doesn't sound too healthy. Oh, you can just see twitch mid-hairpin again, and that's the reason why he's fallen so far behind, is the car's just not interested. Now we have a red showing up for Nemesis Racing. What has happened here? Why are we getting a red, Mr. Nemesis? I'm really not sure, but maybe it knew something was going to happen as the Italian man goes for a spin and is now trying to find the circuit, very much like Kimi Räikkönen. Couldn't find it there. Beamer Black has now closed on him immensely. Now I wonder if that means Nemesis Racing has a penalty of some kind. Regardless, Beamer Black has gained massively through Nemesis losing his way, we'll say, into the hairpin. Of course, Lamborghini and Audi owned by the same team. Nemesis goes very wide. Contact between the two of them, banging doors is an understatement. They will now race off into the fog side by side, and all we get to see is the headlight point of view. Beamer Black takes the position though, quite comfortably ahead of Nemesis Racing. And Nemesis tries to pull to the outside and go all the way around the outside to reclaim his position, gets stuck on that curb on the outside there. And the Beamer Black car is up into 5th with 13 3/4 left to go. You can just see the faded headlights of Aneltanovic in the background, of course, as well. Nemesis was the fastest car on track. He has a 142. So everyone, Ducati's 141. Nemesis has the pace, but just as you can see, not the consistency at this stage. And that's seen him drop from a P3 to P4 to P5 to P6 now. Kind of rough and tumbled down after a very good start to this race. But he's still within striking distance on the Beamer Black Lamborghini. And he will stay in striking distance if he keeps the track extending like that. And I'm sure he'll get a warning from the stewards. You're not allowed to do that too many times to get away. But of course, Nemesis, I think, is yet to pit, as is everyone in the top 6. I think everyone in the low 7. And maybe Beamer Black has already pitted. I can't remember. But, of course, we saw Gledskill, JFD, Kevin Jacobs, Beamer Black has pitted. Both the Lamborghinis pitted together, so Beamer Black in a very good position right now. So I think Nemesis is yet to pit. The Beamer Black's in an awesome position, considering he's pitted already. But ooh, the freaking Joker's off as we got to him. Gets away with it. It makes you wonder, when are these big boys, the leaders, when are the front runners going to take the first pit stop? Another red showing for Nemesis Racing. What I believe is a time penalty issued for the Italian. And he's had a very, very slow lap on the last lap, because that was his spin, of course. Now we have our first of the front runners. Freaking Joker comes in for a pit stop. Now, where will he come out? We can see Kevin Jacobs about to get lapped by Beamer Black. It's a long trundle down the pit lane for the McLaren. Freaking Joker Beamer Black's going to overlap Kevin Jacobs. Kevin brakes, lets him through. We can see Freaky Joker serves his stop then and comes back out onto the circuit. And he's going to come out well clear of Aneltanovic. And he's not too far behind the guys in front of him either, so it's not worked out too badly for the Kirker. Beamer Black now in a solid P4 because he has pitted. Unless Nemesis pitted and I missed it, I apologise, but I believe Beamer Black is the only one in that situation who has pitted and got away with it. And Murcielago pits while Ketchy stays out. Oh, but he hits the gravel and almost spins into the wall. That's been an absolute nightmare, and that's just been a very clear-cut symbolisation of how Murcielago is not only raised, but I feel like his whole season's gone. Just punished in the biggest way by the smallest errors. And that's really cost him a lot this season, particularly this race. The twitches in the car really kept him from being able to maximise the BMW's potential today. And the mistakes over the course of the season have cost him many things. But it should get out ahead of Mark the Shark quite comfortably. And I think any undercut advantage he would have had is going to be gone due to spinning on that gravel, half spinning on the gravel. Still showing red for Mr. Valeria. Not sure why. Fastest man on the track right now is Beamer Black with a 43.1. Ketchy comes up to lap one of the Bentleys, which will be Galactic Skull 2. 10 minutes, just under 10 minutes left in this race. Now, will he respond immediately, or will he try a Nemesis-esque strategy that we've seen so many times? Ketchy closing in on that Bentley. I'm sure the Bentley will be getting blue flag warnings. But Ketchy's going to come in and pit anyway, so Galactic Skull won't have to worry about the blue flags. Ketchy comes in for his pit stop to respond to Murcielago's very messy undercut, we'll say. Ketchy did not make that mistake. But I think Ketchy should come out quite comfortably in the lead. If there's any battles elsewhere on the circuit though, we will see them, and there isn't. So we can watch Ketchy's pit stop now. You can see it's a cheeky tactic if they don't take tyres. Ketchy took tyres, remember, in I believe it was Brunner, and took himself out of a very good position. He's obviously learned, no tyres this time, just doing the cheeky stop and go tactic. But Ketchy leaves the pit lane, and he's actually gained an awful lot on Murcielago. Good stuff from Ketchy. I'd say he's gained about another 2 seconds on Murcielago than he had in hand. That's partly to do with Murcielago's mistake when he came into pit. As Aneltanovic goes for a spin, Galactic Skull 2 also makes a mistake in tandem though with the Lamborghini, so any advantage yielded. But the Bentley's there with a Lamborghini. Both of them really struggling to get their cars around the circuit at the moment. The Bentley's right there. If the Hurricane makes a mistake, Anel made a mistake here a few laps ago, so did the Bentley. Bentley gets a little bit stuck up on the curb, but lives to keep with this fight. Ready for the ultimate corner. Chasing, just waiting for Anel to make a mistake. Anel's line wasn't great through the final corner, good enough to get him away from it. Bentley. Oh, and there he goes. Just hits that inside curb, loses the rear end. Luckily for him, he's got a lot of buffer to the car behind, but that will end the challenge from Scotsman on Aneltanovic, unless Anel makes a similar mistake. Oh, that's someone who's made a mistake. Nemesis has gone round and found himself in a very tricky situation, and he actually scares Kevin Jacobs off the road. Kevin Jacobs missing the front of his car. Nemesis went around. He sacrifices P5 to the freaking Joker and sacrifices the battle for P4 to Beamer Black. Murcielago's now come up in red, penalty potentially. He's lost a further second on this lap to Ketchy. Nemesis is having a tough time with Kevin Jacob. Kevin Jacobs looks faster, but he's the lapped car, and they find themselves in this very weird situation of letting each other through. Like two very friendly women at the shop. Nemesis goes straight over. He wants to go in the pits, and Nemesis will go in the pits over the grass and comes into pit lane. And what a disastrous lap for the Italian. Man, round one. Definitely not going to win anything today. P6, doomed to lose P7, and may even lose P8 by the end of the pit lane. We'll have to wait and see. Into the pits he comes. Is it a stop and go tactic? Yes, it is. How soon will they release him? Because P7's already gone past. Now it's going to be a battle of if he can get out ahead of P8, which I don't think he's going to. It looks like they're repairing damage on Nemesis's car, so he'll sacrifice into P8. Looks like he'll get out ahead of P9 and P10 because they've had absolute nightmares. But Nemesis ruled out from the top 7. And he might. I'm not sure, there's a lot of damage they're repairing on his car. But Beamer Black has caught Mark the Shark. So we're going to focus on that. Beamer Black closed in and found P3. And now we finally have a battle coming to the end of this race. For all those who've been patient enough to stay with us, penultimate corner. Beamer Black looks to the outside. Mark is going to nullify that battle and say, sorry viewers, not today. Comes in service stop, but Beamer's already stopped very early on. So amazing race from Beamer, who now finds himself on the podium. Great effort from Beamer today. Really been my driver of the day with that strategy, pitting very early on. And he got up into 4th when everyone in front of him still had to pit, because he was a bit too far back to challenge for the win or put any pressure on the leaders. But got away with it. Meanwhile, another mistake for the Bentley sees him off the circuit. Beamer Black then finds himself up in P number 3 on the podium, which I believe will be his first podium this season. So he'll be looking to seal the deal on the green Lamborghini after a very good tyre strategy. 4 minutes left to go. We have a car going off the circuit. Anil Tanovic has gone off the circuit, which has brought Galactic 2 back into the theory. Now, how hard will they battle this time? Because they don't have long. They have about 2 or so laps left to sort this out amongst themselves. So, will he avoid this inside cut? No, he'll cut it even more. Because Anil Tanovic has had a big accident in front. Into the wall. Loses P6 to Galactic Skull 2. And whenever we get close to having a battle on the circuit, the divine forces intervene and take it away from us. And for that I can only apologise, but it is what it is. Anil's having an absolute nightmare on the run down to turn 2. And he's almost lost it again. Must be lots of damage on that Lamborghini after an impact like that. You can see the car's pulling to the left and he has to keep adjusting it. And now it's pulling to the right. The car is an absolute mess, which is very broken. Ketchy has driven off. Left Murcielago in the dust. Ooh, Anil almost. Because he's pulling to... Oh my goodness gracious me. I hope he doesn't hit anyone. Left Murcielago through, but while all this is happening, Nemesis is just down the straight from Anil. Now Anil's probably going to lose P7 anyway, because he has to pit. Clearly, he's going to have to pit for damage, unless he just tries to nurse this to the end of the race. Would be bold. Nemesis is actually a lot further back than I thought he was. That's... wow. For a high-speed corner, goes in on Tanovic. Now you want to be careful with a car that damaged. Is he going to try and limp it home? Because he's probably got another lap. Depending where Ketchy is, he's going to have another lap. Maybe even 2. 144's Ketchy's doing roughly. Yeah, it's going to be 1 more lap. So it depends how long the... oh, but he goes around. He risks doing that if he stays out for too long, though. Gets on his way once again. But with how long, I'd say he's going to be in the pits for longer than 1 minute 30 seconds. So he might just try to keep going. We had something similar a few races ago where someone had damage and just carried on for what was the final lap. But Yeah, he takes my advice. He's going to go for the final lap with a very damaged car. He lets through Beamer Black, but now he's got a problem with Nemesis Racing. He's going to close up and he's going to want to do battle. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist nor an engineer, but I know that Anil Tanovic's car is not in a fit state for battling. Jesus! Nemesis almost went to Nürburgring. He took that much track liberty there. Very naughty of the Italian, and Anil's really trying to fight it, but he's really in a car that is beyond wounded. And this should be an easy maneuver for Nemesis, just because Nemesis' car is working with him and not against him, like Anil's car is. And Anil's going to go defensive, but you kind of get the feeling it's going to be job done. No, not quite. And there it is, job's done now. Nemesis goes very wide though. Is that going to allow Anil to come back in underneath? It would if Anil's car wasn't as damaged. It's almost like he's weaving his tyres to keep temperature in them. Been a very scruffy day here for pretty much everybody but this man, Kedshi, in the Mercedes AMG GT, is going to come around to what I believe is going to be his first NORL race. Congratulations to Kedshi, his first win of the season and in NORL. Great effort from the man in the Mercedes today. Like I said, he's shown flashes of brilliance, but never really put it all together until today. For one reason or another, it's always got away from him. Not today. Mercedes win at Hockenheim. Fitting win for the track now owned by Mercedes. And the Mercedes does a great job and wins by almost 9 seconds from Murcielago. He was unmatched. Beamer Black as well takes his first podium of the season. Great effort by the Lamborghini. The freaking Joker looks like he'll hold on to finish 4th ahead of Mark. Mark just didn't have consistency. It's like Galactic Skull 2 will finish in 6th, and the rest will round each other off as Anil will try to make it home with a lot of damage. Is he going to make it home ahead of JFD? Where is Anil? Anil's across the line, so Anil makes it home ahead of JFD. JFD and Kevin just lost too much time to even be in the equation there. But Kedshi wins then ahead of Murcielago. Beamer Black, like I said, first podium. Freaking Joker comes home in P4. Mark will be P5. Galactic Skull 2 P6. Nemesis Racing P7. Then it was Anil Tanovic, who has just left the session, presumably not happy with how the day went on. P8 for JFD. And then Kevin Jacobs came home in P number 10. And that will be when you add Anil Tanovic to the equation. But it was this man today. This man was the only man who could keep it on the track at all times. This man, I'd say, and Beamer Black as well, who was caught up. Beamer Black was caught up in an accident on the first lap through no fault of his own, lost his rear wing, made a very early pit stop with his repairs. And there you go. That is the racing over for another week here in the FIA GT3 series on Wednesday. Kedge takes his first win of the season. Beamer Black takes his first podium of the season. And another race gets away from Murcielago. There's been an interesting one. It's certainly been a very scruffy one, apart from Kedshi and Beamer Black. Good job to those guys for keeping it clean when the pressure was on in the fog here in the Hockenheim ring. But until next time, you will see us on Sunday for the F1 NORL series, or you can catch us again, of course, same time next week for round number 5, sorry, of the NORL Project Cars 2 FIA GT3 series. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And from all of us here at NORL and GamingNow, goodbye.